Basic English fluency in a week. Be able to start and hold a conversation in 7 short days. Now you may be thinking that learning English in 1 week is impossible, but with some hard work and practice you can. It will not be easy, but it can be done. If you follow the exercises contained within this course, you will be on your way to basic fluency. This guide is your Bible to learning how to speak and understand basic phrases, so that you can carry out a conversation. This is a beginner's guide and is not meant to teach you advanced conversational techniques. English is a beautiful language. In fact, any language you decide to learn is a beautiful one. However, learning a brand new language is not always easy. Lucky for you, English is not considered to be the most difficult language. This course is based on the assumption that you are an intermediate learner and can read English. You are here because you have been trying to learn the language, but cannot speak it or understand English speakers properly. Learning English involves listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So, let's get started. Learning English requires a number of skills. Let's have a look at the skills required to learning English. First of all, you have phonetics. Phonetics is a branch related to sound. Phonology is a branch related to the systematic organization of sounds in the English language. Phoneme is the smallest unit making up a language. The English language consists of 4 to 1 phonemes. Phonemes can combine to make up words and syllables. Phonetics is a method of teaching people to recognize different sounds. Reading fluency. Fluency is the ability to read and speak without stopping. This means not looking at each word and trying to figure out how to read it. It should be accurate and precise. Vocabulary development. Vocabulary is the body of words in any language. It is also the individual knowledge of words and their meanings and pronunciations. It is important to develop your vocabulary skills while learning a language. Of course, you are not expected to go through a dictionary in 1 day. It is a slow process. Oral skills. Oral skills are your ability to speak a language fluently. This requires correct pronunciation and the use of grammar. Without development of oral skills, learning a language would be utterly useless. How to speak English fluently. Fluency is the ability to speak a language with ease, without any hiccups. Now, you must be wondering what I mean by without any hiccups. Do not take this literally. It is an idiom. An idiom is a group of words whose actual meaning is different from the literal meaning. This means that speaking a language without suffering from a bout of hiccups. So in reality, the meaning is that you can speak a language without stopping and stuttering, and without being unsure of how to use your words. Fluency means knowing how to use your words with ease and comfort. Fluency comes with practice. You cannot study every how to speak English book and expect to be fluent in a language. Practice is a must. Also, if you think you can read well, and so you must be fluent as well, you are mistaken. Reading and speaking are very different. The thing with learning English is that you do not need to concentrate on the grammar while speaking. Concentrate on conversing. English is a weird language with a lot of loopholes. Practice. Practicing speaking in English is a must. You cannot learn how to speak fluently otherwise. The reason for this is the slang that has infiltrated the language, and also the utter lack of regard from grammatical rules while speaking. However, if one starts using correct grammar by the book, English would sound extremely weird. Small talk. Learn how to begin a conversation. This will also grow your confidence. While standing in line, ask the person in front or behind you a simple question, such as, "What time is it?" Try continuing with the conversation. If you have trouble understanding the person, politely ask them to repeat what they said. Normally people say, "I'm sorry," but they could also say pardon. Confidence. Practicing English speech will require confidence. During a social gathering, start small conversations. Do not hesitate to ask the person to repeat himself or herself. If you do not understand the meaning of a particular word or phrase, ask them to clarify. Chances are they know you are in the learning process and would gladly help. Do not think that you can go home and open Google Translate and type in a word or phrase they used. This does not work. Also, don't feel embarrassed when someone corrects you. And you could also go to a karaoke bar. Listen. Reading and speaking is not enough. Listen to how people speak, the pronunciations, and the way words are used. Watch TV, listen to songs. This way you are listening to other people speak and observe how they pronounce the words. Read books. Read novels. Concentrate on the formation of the sentences. Novels have dialogues, a conversation between two people, that you can use to your advantage. Notice how people speak. They do not pay attention to the grammar as much as they do to talking. Also, when you are reading, mark every unusual phrase or word and find out what it means. Incorporate new words into your vocabulary. Do not translate. Avoid translating what you hear or what you say. Translating a phrase from your mother tongue to English or vice versa will completely ruin the actual meaning of the phrase. It will also most likely be incorrect. Instead, you can use a dictionary. Idioms. Idioms are not an essential part of the English language. You will find yourself dumbstruck if you do not understand idioms. You might hear somebody say "break a leg" to you before your English exam, and you will be confused as why somebody would want you to break a leg. However, break a leg means best of luck or I hope you do well. Fluency in English requires the knowledge of idioms. Do not think of yourself as a student. To become fluent, think of yourself as a person who can speak English. You will make mistakes, but these are building blocks. As a student, you will probably find yourself studying grammar books, but this is not important. To speak English properly, you do not need English grammar books. You will also be wasting a lot of your time by reading these books. Recruit a friend as a mentor. An English-speaking friend is the perfect person to be with when learning the language. Surrounding yourself with people who can speak English fluently is important. You can ask a friend to help you along the way. Make it a point to talk to them in English, no matter how scattered it sounds. Ask friends and colleagues to correct you if you are wrong. Movies and songs. Build a library of English songs and movies. This works better than just reading or listening to others speak. Songs and movies stick to your mind. My Fair Lady is a good movie to watch since you are learning English. Think in English. Make it a point to think in English and not your mother tongue. Whatever or whenever you are talking to yourself or thinking, do it in English. This way you will become more comfortable with the idea of speaking and learning the language. Record yourself. Every night before going to bed, record your day's event in an audio journal in English. You will find that you speak much better when you do not have to worry about embarrassing yourselves in front of others. When you realize that you can speak reasonably well without stumbling around, your confidence will grow and you will find yourself initiating conversations. Do it right now. Steps to start improving instantly. Step 1. Watch an English movie twice and concentrate on how a person speaks. Step 2. On a piece of paper, note down all the idioms and colloquialisms that you come across. Step 3. Look up their meaning. Step 4. Make your own sentences and try incorporating them in your everyday life. Do it now. Ways to leverage your English listening habits. The English language has a lot of slang, colloquialism, and idioms. The only way to master these is by listening. Listening will improve your speaking capabilities hugely. You will learn the correct pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar, accent, and intonation. One can apply what they hear in their daily life. Make it a point to listen to the radio or TV while doing random chores. All human beings learn a language by listening. Make sure you watch a movie without subtitles. Singing is a great fun way to improve your pronunciation. It can also develop fluency. Remember, developing your English listening skill is not only important to learn a language, it is also important because a person is not going to repeat himself over and over, waiting for you to understand. Watching a movie without subtitles will teach you how to keep up with what a person is saying. Role-playing also helps you in improving speech. Watch an English movie that you are fond of over and over again till you understand it completely, and then enact the movie yourself. Repeat this exercise with another movie. This will not only improve your speech, it will also improve your ability to listen. Listening and repeating is the best way to learn a language. I know people who have learned a complete language perfectly just by watching the movies and listening to the songs. Of course, this works better if the language you are trying to learn is closer to your own native language. However, remember that English is a mix of a number of different languages. How to strengthen English listening habits. Now, in order to strengthen your English listening habits for an extra leverage, let us take a look at the 3 types of listening one must indulge in, and further ways to improve your skills in each. Number 1. Passive or inactive listening. Passive listening plays a dormant role in the communication process. The listener simply listens and absorbs the meaning of the language and is not expected to react or put his views across. As a foreign learner, passive listening allows you to acquaint the verbal form of speech and take time to assimilate what you listen. It is the most comfortable way of taking massive input. Here are some important aspects you can instill to maximize learning from passive listening. Focus on understanding each word in individual sense and in correlation with the constructed sentences. Do not deviate your concentration in putting emphasis on preconception of the context while listening. Rehearse and summarize in your mind what you comprehend from speech as an aftermath. Take note on how vocabulary is used interchangeably to get a hand on varied ways of expressive ability. If possible, pen down the main frame of sentences in shorthand for further reference. Keep observation on the pauses used while conveying the emotion of the context. There are clause, sentences, and paragraph pauses in conversational speech in a rhythmic pattern, which you must focus on while listening in English. As a foreign listener, at times, the speech might sound out of your pace to absorb the meaning of. Do not get intimidated with the volume of words and sentences while listening, as it might keep you from taking whatever input you can anyway. In case of listening live to a speaker, note the lip movement made while pronouncing the syllables, vowels, and consonants differently. Type 2. Extensive listening. Furthermore, and beyond specific information, extensive listening includes listening to long textual texts, narratives, which in return builds the listener's stamina to take in more and more bulk of conversational language and understand the contextual reference in larger lengths. After listening to a particular audiobook or in repetitive mode, you will observe that you consciously pick up the pronunciation and can fairly summarize the meaning in portions. Extensive listening is a great self-tutoring method for learning second languages. Use different mediums like English audiobooks, recordings, videos, entertainment pieces, musicals, debates, and dialogues for extracting a variety of accents, speech alterations, and genres of vocal English. To avoid hurtling up while listening extensively, pick Pick a topic of interest and listen through till the end. Since mostly you can repeat and take a pause while listening to pre-recorded mediums, list down new words and phrases you come across and look up the meaning of complex vocabulary to keep up with what is being said. Type 3. Responsive listening. Getting into a habit of responsive listening is a place where you are active as a listener, as well as a speaker. Engaging yourself with this type of listening will build your grasping speed and make you spontaneous with the language. Once you start practicing it as a habit, you can further optimize listening through these elements. Responsive listening is a behavioral act. Keep the focal point on listening calmly, rather than getting anxious about how you would frame your response. Ask the speaker to reiterate if you do not get the context clearly. It is always better and elucidating to seek clarification rather than responding in irrelevance. Take time to apprehend what you listen before jumping to a response. It is observed that very often people practice listening with a prejudice and neglect the minutes. As a settler to a foreign language, you must not do this. You must be able to listen without judging. Do it right now. Steps to start improving instantly. Number 1. Watch an English movie. Step 2. Make an honest list of all words that you thought were pronounced in a different way. Step 3. By the end of the movie, if your list is small, your pronunciation is not so bad. However, if your list is long, you need to work on pronouncing these words. Step 4. If you are not sure about the pronunciation, use the help of the internet tools or download a dictionary app on your phone to help correct yourself. Easy methods for improving English reading skills. Learning how to read is an important part of learning English. It expands your vocabulary and gives you fluency. If you are in a country where English is the main language, you will not get by without learning how to read. Also, reading is substantially easier than speaking and writing, or even listening. Remember to always read a book that is of your level. Don't get ambitious and read a book above your level, because that would involve words that you will not understand. Reading English can get downright weird. Why? Read and read have the same spelling, but different meanings as well as pronunciation. Read is pronounced as read, which is in the present tense, while read is pronounced as read, which is in the past tense. A few steps for you to start improving your reading skills are explained in the next few slides. Decide what you want to read. Preferably, you should stick to reading a book that is your level. Do not decide to read Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. You cannot do that at this current level, but you will be able to do it when you have successfully mastered the language. That novel will not disappoint. You can read children's books, newspapers, comics, or anything else. Once you have decided, go pick up the books from the library or bookshop. Take it slow. Reading takes patience. Do not try rushing through a book or newspaper. Concentrate on every word that you read. If you do not understand a particular word or phrase, look it up in a dictionary or on Google. Do not proceed without understanding it completely. Reread. Rereading is a good exercise. You know how when you watch a movie for the second time, you pick up all the bits of information that you missed out on the first time that you watched it. Rereading does the exact same thing. At times, while reading, a person phases out. That means that he or she is reading but not really concentrating or understanding. A second read makes everything clearer. A list of unfamiliar words. Make a list of all the new words you come across with their meanings. After you finish reading the text, go through this list and try using the words in your daily life. Read aloud. Read every few sentences or paragraphs out loud. Concentrate on your pronunciation. This will help you in developing fluency while reading. Fluency in speech is not the only thing that is important. Summarize. Once you are done reading, summarize everything you read by either writing it down in front or by speaking in front of friends and family. You could also do this by yourself in front of the mirror. Remember to do this in English. Simple techniques for memorizing extensive vocabulary, phrases and idioms. The hardest part is memorizing all those new words. It has to be done though. You cannot hope to master the language successfully without learning the words and phrases that make it up. The best way to expand your vocabulary and knowledge of idioms is through reading. Therefore, hence, make the list of new words that are important. However, watching English movies will also give you a bigger knowledge of idioms and phrases. Now, when you build your English vocabulary as well as a stock of phrases and idioms, you can disintegrate your learning into two levels. Fundamental level. There are 2000 to 2500 words which are called the foundation blocks of English language. These words are not particularly listed, but comprise of each first word for every meaning that you learn to the count. These include certain words like how, why, where, which, and these words are not replaceable by another word. For phrases and idioms, the cardinal ones will fall in the fundamental category. Extensive level. Every word, phrase or idiom with similar or opposite meaning and intent as of the fundamental ones will form the extensive list for a more in-depth learning. Let's expand a bit more on this. Do it right now. Steps to start improving instantly. Step 1. Pick an English book or topic over the internet of your interest. Step 2. Keep a dictionary, pen and paper alongside. Step 3. Scan, skim and start reading the text out loud in a subtle speech. Step 4. Break the words that are difficult to pronounce at one go into sounds and speak in a connecting flow. If you don't know what that particular word sounds like, refer to an audio dictionary and follow. Example, anticipation. Step 5. Note down new phrases, words and expressions you come across while reading and simultaneously take meaning from the dictionary. Step 6. On completion, review the topic at hand. Step 7. Note the estimated time you took to read the text, number of words read, and as a trend, try to speak up and speed up with every third time that you read. The following are tips for expanding vocabulary. One word at a time. Do not try to learn the entire dictionary in a weekend. That will not do you any good. Start small. Once you find a new word, incorporate it into your daily use. Spend every spare minute reading. Read, read and read. Books will expand your vocabulary to a large extent. Pay close attention to what you are reading. If you do not understand a word, use a dictionary to find its meaning. Context skills. Usually while reading, it is easy to decipher the meaning of a word from the sentence it is used in, which is known as the context. In the sentence you can figure out that the word decipher means to understand or convert into normal language. If you come across a word that you cannot completely understand before turning to the dictionary, try to figure out what the word means. Then you can cross-check with the dictionary to see if you were right. This will build your context skills, and it is important in English because a lot of words are similar and pronounced in the same way. Some words even have the same spelling, but mean something completely different. Practice. Of course, practice makes perfect. Use the new vocabulary that you have, or you might forget it before you even get a chance to use it. After learning a word and understanding the context it is used in, make it a point to put that word in your sentences. Use a dictionary. I know that I said do not learn the dictionary in a day, but skimming through it and picking up words that fascinate you is a good exercise. Learn these words and use them so that you can get used to the context that they are used in. Play with words. Play games like Scribble or Words with Friends or Ruzzle. These games can increase your vocabulary in a fun way. Ask friends to help you along the way. Since these games have a competitive twist, you intend to learn new words faster. Even Pictionary is a good game to learn new words. Since you are drawing the words out, the meaning of the words stays with you. Crosswords. Make it a point to do a crossword every day. They can be a little overwhelming, but with a little help, one can usually manage to complete the whole thing. They not only give you new words as you go through the thesaurus, but your general knowledge also expands. I think that this is a brilliant exercise for learning a language. Write a journal. Start a written journal where you pen down your thoughts in English. This way you can practice writing as well. Remember to use the words that you learned that day. Welcome to part 2 of Tips for Expanding Vocabulary. Listen. When others speak, listen. Observe how native English speakers use their words. Do not hesitate in asking what they mean if you do not understand something. When you learn to listen, you will also learn the usage of idioms, phrases, slang, and colloquialism. This will make you more fluent as well as understanding. Associations. When you learn a new word, associate it with something so that you have an easier time recalling it later. It could be a color, a feeling, another word, or anything else. For example, quintessential, one of my favorite words, which means the perfect example of something. You can associate it with your favorite dish, your favorite actress or actor, your parents. Use these associations to remember the word. Make a list of words. In a diary that you keep with you, make a list of all the words you come across in a day. When you get home or in your free time, open a dictionary and find the meanings of each word that you collected. Learn the roots. Make it a point to learn the roots of the words. This is an interesting way to remember the words. Mostly every word in English has roots in either Latin or Greek. It is fun to learn how the word came about. A language keeps evolving, so a word that meant something in the 17th century would not mean the same today. Use the word. Again, this point is so important that I am repeating it over and over. If you do not use the words you learn, you will forget them. Learn to use the words. Make it a habit. Do it right now. Steps to start improving instantly. Step 1. Pick a subject or noun. Step 2. Look for words and descriptive phrases in the dictionary which can describe or narrate about the subject. Step 3. Note down the relevant words with its meanings, synonyms, and antonyms. Step 4. Now, using those words, construct descriptive sentences about the subject and place phrases in the right sequence. Step 5. Repeat the process with other topics, objects, and nouns. I invite you to do this right now. Understand the parts of speech. Learn all the parts of speech. Essentially, every word in a sentence can be categorized into a word class. When you are reading a book or in the newspaper, try figuring out which word are the nouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, pronouns, conjunctions, and prepositions. Look for structures. Observe how people use their words and how books are written. There are certain structures that stay the same. Identify mistakes. There are a lot of mistakes in the way that English is spoken and written, even by native English speakers. However, when learning a new language, some words may be difficult for the native speakers. This differs from language to language. For example, Russians have trouble understanding the difference between the use of a and the. Exercises. Perform grammatical exercises. You could do this on the internet or you could buy a children's English school book. Complete at least one exercise in a day. That is how children learn grammar. There is no other way that you can do it. Hire a tutor. It would be advisable for you to go and hire a tutor to guide you. Only a tutor can tell you that you are wrong and correct your mistakes. Colleagues and friends might not correct you for fear of embarrassing you or hurting your feelings. Do not translate. Translating English to your native language or vice versa will inevitably create mistakes. Let your native language be and concentrate only on English. Translating generally spoils the grammar of the sentence. Some quick steps to learn English grammar. Grammar can be pesky and annoying. It is not easy to learn because there are so many rules that simply do not make sense. For example, the pronunciations of cat as cat and price as price does not make sense. Grammar can be defined as a set of notions about the correct use of a language. English grammar is extensive. The words can be distinguished into nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, and conjunctions. A little introduction into the basics of grammar is important so that you can understand how things work. Nouns. In the simplest form, a noun is used to identify a name, place, animal, or thing. It is also the largest English word class. Noun phrases are sentences that function as nouns. For example, the Eiffel Tower is in Paris. Pronouns. Pronouns function in place of nouns and noun phrases. These include personal pronouns, interrogative pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, and relative pronouns. For example, I, you, we, she, he, they are all pronouns. For example, they stabbed him in the back. Verbs. Verbs describe actions. For example, she is singing. It is used for a word that describes any action being performed. Adjective. An adjective describes an attribute of a word or phrase. For example, she is a beautiful person. Adverb. An adverb is a word that modifies a verb, an adjective or another adverb. For example, Sebastian was the fastest runner at the derby. Conjunction. A conjunction is a word that is used to connect two sentences. It creates a logical relation between two phrases. For example, and, or, but, nor, as well as, neither, for, so, etc. are called conjunctions. Prepositions. A preposition is a word that shows the relation of a noun or pronoun to other words in the sentence. For example, the book is on the shelf. Speaking English is different from speaking correct English. For example, someone who has been speaking English his or her entire life. For this person, grammar comes naturally. I know a lot of people who can speak English and get their point across, but their grammar is not that great. There are a few steps you can take to practice your English grammar, which we will look at in the next video. Do it right now. Steps to start improving instantly. Step 1. Pick an English book or newspaper to read. Step 2. Keep a pen and paper with you. Preferably a small notebook, specifically for components of grammar. Step 3. While reading, go one paragraph at a time and note down the nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs that you come across. Step 4. Try making your own sentences using these words. Step 5. Repeat the same process for the next paragraph. English writing, improvement tricks and tips. As I said earlier, a language has 4 components: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Each of these components is complementary to each other. Once you know how to listen, read, and speak English, it is time to finish the process by writing properly. Writing is probably the easiest to do, however, one can make mistakes in spellings. Also, a person thinks and writes at different speeds, and that could unintentionally ruin the sentence. Still, writing is not at all that easy. Problems arise when it comes to punctuation marks. Write. Just like reading and expanding your vocabulary, writing properly involves a lot of practice. Pick a topic and start writing. Do this exercise every day. Make a portfolio of all your pieces and review them in a month and look for mistakes that you made. Once you are done, ask a friend to edit it for you. Learn the correct version. Once you have figured out your mistakes, make it a point to learn the correct version. Incorporate the corrected version in your next piece of writing exercise. Avoid using a guide. While you are practicing your writing skills, do not use a guide or dictionary. Make mistakes and then learn from those mistakes. If you do not make mistakes, you will never learn. Once you know the mistakes you made, start writing again and try correcting those same mistakes. Use new words and phrases. Make it a point to use at least 2 new words and phrases, as well as idioms, slang and colloquialism in your article. Make sure you ask somebody to correct these if they are wrong. Punctuation. The punctuation marks you use at the end of a sentence will set the tone of the particular sentence. Whether it is an exclamation or a question depends on how you frame your sentence. Do it right now. Steps to start improving instantly. These 2 steps may seem simple, however, they are not easy to implement. But if you do implement them, you will definitely see progress in your English skills. So step 1, pick a topic that interests you and that you are passionate about. And step 2, go on the internet. You can start a blog based on the topic, for example a WordPress blog. If you go to wordpress.com, you can follow the steps to start your own English blog. I'd like you to do it right now, because this will definitely ensure that success will be there. Do it right now. Steps to start improving instantly. Step 1. Pick a topic that is trending. Number 2. Decide on your opinion on the topic. Step 3. Prepare a speech on a pen and paper. Step 4. In a gathering of friends and family, make the speech. Do not lose confidence. Learning anything new can be emotionally draining, but do not start thinking in a negative way. Instead of thinking I can't, think I will. Set a date, say a year or 2 down the line, when you will be a fluent speaker, reader and writer in English. Work hard. Everything requires hard work, even learning a language. It is important not to think of it as something that will occur in its own time. You can work hard and reduce your learning time. Treat yourself. Motivation is the best tool. Treat you and your friends to dinner after you complete a particular goal. Also, ask your friends to test you. This way, you will not only look forward to dinner with friends every weekend, but also completing goals on time. Thesaurus. To develop a vast vocabulary, use a thesaurus. Learn different words with the same meanings and then use these words in a sentence. Here you might also see a word that you find fascinating. Group study. If you know other people trying to learn English, propose a group study. They always work better than trying to study alone. In the group, test each other using flashcards. This will not only be fun, but you will retain more when you are in a group. Spellings. Do not just learn new words. Remember to learn their spellings as well. Spelling is as important as pronunciation. However, many times in English the words are not always pronounced as they are spelled. I would suggest using an online source to perfect your pronunciations, and then writing each word while pronouncing it aloud. This would develop an association in your brain for the word. Pay attention to idioms and collocations. To talk as a native speaker, it is important to pay special attention to idioms and colloquialisms. Make a separate notebook for these and follow the same process as you would for the words. Revise. Revise every word you have learned during the week on Sunday or any other day. This way you make sure that the words stay with you. Remember to speak out loud so you hear yourself and your ears are trained to catch the word. English movies and songs. Whenever you have time on your hands, watch an English movie. This way, you will get used to the idea of listening to and speaking English. It will begin to seem like a natural language. Songs can be heard anytime, so pick your favorite songs and play them. Pay attention to pronunciations. Do not use subtitles, or you will not pay attention to what the person is saying. Books are for readings. When you watch a movie, listen. The hidden secrets that will help you learn English in a weekend. Since you can read English, you could strive to perfect it in one weekend. It will not be easy to learn anything and everything there is to learn in a weekend, but if you work hard enough, it can be done. However, implement what you learn is probably the hardest part. So, step 1. Speak English daily. Do not slip up and start using your native language. Even when you are with your own people, speak in English. If you do not have any way to speak English outside, do it at home. Watch TV or read a book and repeat out loud. Not speaking English will not help you learn. You have to use it to remember it. Study it. Every day for at least 1 hour, study the language. Study the words, the history of the words, learn the grammatical rules, etc. Even if you spend only half an hour a day, that will work. Think of your English skills as a piece of iron that will rust and break apart if you do not study and oil it. Goals. Setting goals for yourself is a good way to learn English. Pick common everyday words and decide to use them regularly by the end of the week or month. You could set any goal you want. This will also turn learning English into a challenge with yourself. Be confident. Being confident means speaking English when you are outside, even if you are not good at it. Do not apologize for not able to speak properly. Instead, ask for help and advice. It is essential to be confident, or you will never have the guts to speak out in open, and you will never find out what your level of English is. Keep a small notebook with you. While you are learning, it is a good idea to keep a notebook with you at all times. Every time you come across a word that you do not understand, write it down. After that, look for its meaning. At the end of the day, go through this list and learn the words on it. Try making sentences in which you can use these new words that you learned. This is a good practice because without writing down the words, chances are that you will forget them. Learn to listen. Speaking in English outside with other people is not your only problem. You also have to learn to listen. Speaking and listening require two different parts of the body. You have to train your ears to listen to a new language and differentiate the words. Listen as much as you can. You could also read aloud, and in this way you would be listening to yourself. In this final section of the course, you can find a bonus PDF in which are included the 50 most common words in English. So learn these words, learn to use them, and listen carefully to when other people are using them, because these are the most common words in English. If you know these words, you will be well on your way to learning and speaking fluently in English. So, well done, you have successfully finished this course. During this course, we have looked at different ways how you can improve your English speaking, your listening, your writing, your reading, your grammar. And to sum it up, if you have successfully followed this course and the tasks that are included at the end of each section, you will be able to speak fluently and hold a conversation. Your English might not be perfect, but you will be able to successfully communicate with other people. If you feel that you still cannot do that, then I urge you to go back to the particular sections in which you feel you are lacking and go over the videos, and more importantly, do the tasks that are included at the end of each section. If you have any questions, please do start a discussion, and I will personally answer each and every question that I receive. Also, if you have enjoyed this course, please do go ahead and leave me a review, because this is the way that I can take your feedback on board and improve when it comes to the next and upcoming courses. Again, if you have any questions and problems, do let me know. I thank you for taking this course, and I hope that you got a ton out of it. Have a nice day.